Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you enjoyed that last video where I just shut up and just showed you some stuff. But this video, I'm going to go back to yapping. So I plan to explain a little bit more about some of the things I showed in the last video and also just show off a few new things. So let's do it. All right, so obviously the big thing from the last video was the addition of the weather system here. Unreal was having a spring sale in the Fab store, which is where you can buy all the assets and stuff. And so I was perusing that and I came across this system called the Ultra Dynamic Sky, and within that is also the Ultra Dynamic Weather. So it, of course, has all these different weather types in here. You can, set a specific weather type if you want. You can set it to be random. It has different probabilities for different types of weather based on the season. You can set a specific season if you want, or you can just let it kind of go through the season. It also has a day-night cycle that you can control, and you can, if you want, manually set the time of day and what the sky looks like. I decided to set mine for nighttime because I wanted it to be dark. And it had this cool option where you can move the moon around and you can resize it and stuff. So I put it behind the castle and made it really huge, and I think it looks pretty awesome. You can even upload your own planet types and stuff like that. It also has auroras like Skyrim, which look pretty cool, but I'm not sure if I'll use those or not because I don't know if it'll fit the vibe of the game or not. So, of course, with the snow and the rain, it will add snow and puddles on the surfaces. So you can see here, I've got the snow on the landscape, and it also has a thing in here where you can kind of enable interaction with the snow, so you can see where I'm leaving footprints. Normally, if you were playing a third-person game, you would attach a little component to each foot, so that every time your foot kind of goes through the snow, it'll leave little footsteps. For me, since I'm a first-person character and I don't actually have feet, I essentially just put two little components at the bottom of my collision capsule or whatever. So it doesn't quite look like footprints, but still pretty cool. Something else that I did was apply a material that comes with this thing to some of the other objects like these rocks and also the trees. So when it snows or rains, I'll get snow accumulation on the leaves, or the trees will become wet and that sort of thing, which is pretty awesome. And this whole system costs like $35, which is a steal if you ask me. Right now I have it set up so I have specific weather in certain areas of the map, and then if you're outside of those things, it'll just kind of it'll keep whatever the last weather you were in for at least a minute or two, and then it will switch to a random weather. So that's something I'm still trying to play around with and find out what feels right. Do I want it always to be a totally controlled weather condition, or do I want to have the randomness? So, it can be a little weird maybe if you go, straight from snow to a thunderstorm. Maybe that doesn't seem right, but for right now I have pockets where the weather is predetermined, and then the rest of it is random. But we'll see how that goes. So something else that I kind of briefly showed were these guide stones and these ancient ruins. And so the kind of impetus for creating these things was, what I really wanted was to have a light source that did not require fire, because I wanted to have lights in the world to maybe guide the player or illuminate areas that wouldn't necessarily have like active people living there. So there'd be nobody there to like light torches and things like that. So it didn't make sense just to have like torches burning in the middle of nowhere, you know? So then I was like, well, maybe there's a magical source of light. And then I kind of got the idea for these little things. So it's like, an ancient civilization, that had maybe more advanced magical technology, kind of, had these things around the world. And since they don't require fire, they just kind of continue on, even though that civilization is now gone. And so, then that went to, well, what other cool ruins and things can I have that the player can find from this ancient civilization? If you think about the Iliad ruins in Oblivion, it's sort of my inspiration kind of behind that. And I'll show you some more of these things that I have come across. But another, so I went from, I want like a light that I can kind of use to guide the player, to, okay, there was this ancient civilization and they kind of left behind these things, and now there's some ruins. And then I was like, this gives me an excuse to also like block off parts of the world to prevent the player from going places they're not supposed to. So, generally the people that were living in here most recently are not as technologically advanced. They're living in wood and stone houses and that sort of thing. So it wouldn't make sense that they had like giant walls blocking off different areas of the map. But hey, this old ancient civilization that was, advanced in magic and that sort of things, they had the resources to build these giant walls. And, I'm kind of thinking, if you think about like Elden Ring or some of the Dark Souls games, they just have massive architecture. So that is sort of an inspiration in that regard. Gives the player something cool to find, but also serves the purpose of, walling off different areas. And I'll show some of those. So my little church over here in the mountains, I have a little a light snow zone set up around that. And then here in the approach to like the main gate and the inn and that sort of thing, I have it partly cloudy. And the reason for that is I want, when you walk through that gate and you first see the landscape, for you to see that moon behind the castle with like the clouds in front of it. And I will just roll up there so you can see what I mean. All right, and you can kind of see the weather transition too. So I've got these, little guide stones to guide the way. One thing I did change was, instead of walking up and interacting with them, I have it just sense when the player is within a certain distance, and they just automatically light up. So I didn't want the world to be like lit up like a Christmas tree. I just wanted, something that can help you find your way if you're not sure where to go. So I didn't want them just like shining light all the time. So by default, they shine very dimly, but the little crystal itself is very easy to see in the distance, so you know where to go. And then once you get within that far, they kind of activate and light up. And then once you get far enough away from them, they'll kind of go back to their original brightness. Something I forgot to mention, I don't actually have a shield on me right now, but using the crystal for the light kind of gave me an excuse to have a cool little light for the shield. So I don't remember who it was, but in one of the like Discords I'm in, or maybe it was in a comment on one of the videos, they had talked about, maybe there's like something you attach to your shield that is the source of the light. So I'm kind of going with that idea at the moment. So back there near the church, there's one of these things kind of falling over on the ground you can pick up. And then the idea is like you kind of socket it onto your shield, and then it gives you this kind of cool blue light and has that crystallized pattern on it. And way back in one of my first videos, I had talked about how I was trying to make the light on the shield kind of have like imperfections and stuff, to kind of make it seem like, it's like light reflecting off an imperfect surface. So this, like, going with the crystal kind of texture on the light actually gives me that kind of look that I was going for. So, when you get kind of close to things, it's got those like bright spots and dimmer spots, and I think it looks cool. But yeah, here you go. So I want this reveal when you walk through this first gate. You see that castle, you see the big huge moon, and then you got the like kind of spooky, partly cloudy sky in front of the moon there. So one new addition up here is I wanted something on this side. Right now what I've got is a ruined house that was crushed by a falling boulder on this mountain. So nothing in here currently. But I just wanted something on that side of the road when you kind of make this entrance here to kind of balance it out. I've watched a couple of videos on YouTube about, level layouts and making like interesting things for the player to find. So I've been kind of playing around with that a little bit. Something else that I have added over here that's kind of a work in progress, and right now I'm using like a temporary model for this that was free on the asset store. But I have like a giant like monument over here. And really the reason I wanted to put this over here is because the view from up here is awesome, and I wanted to give the player an excuse to come up here and see it. So I've got like this giant statue kind of erected on top of the rocks here. I've got some cool trees and flowers and that sort of thing. But yeah, you get up here and you get a pretty kick-ass view of the whole space. So you can see straight ahead there, a giant wall. That's kind of one of the things I was talking about with like the ancient civilization and some of the boundaries that they had set up when they lived in this space. that now I'm utilizing to kind of make sure the player goes where I want them to go. So originally this was, just a little valley that then went over here towards this river. But really I want the player to go through this gate and then, do some stuff up here, but then eventually go through that gate there. So this wall serves the purpose of kind of preventing them from going this way. All right, so in addition to this wall here, I also have one over here to prevent the player from exiting the part of the map I'm actually using. You can tell I have a landscape that's actually much bigger than what I'm utilizing. But honestly, this is already very big. I don't need to use more space than this. I still have a lot of room that I have not utilized yet. But yeah, I have those two walls kind of forcing the player this way. And then something I did over here was I used to have like a little lake right here by this little cabin. I have moved the lake over here and made it much bigger. And that is to kind of essentially provide a boundary to prevent the player from going any further that direction. So I have like extended the river here so that it kind of runs across and then has like a little waterfall where it goes down into this lake. So the idea here is essentially just creating a boundary to prevent the player from going over there, but make it part of the world, like it exists within the world. There's a reason you can't go over there. It's not just an invisible wall. And then the one other thing I did so far with that is over here in this little valley, I put another gate here to prevent the player from going there. All right, so now I will show you a couple of new things. The coolest one, I think, is over here. All right, so we're coming through the next gate here, and we are welcomed by this next kind of reveal. So, like before, we still have the castle in the background with the moon and the clouds behind, and that looks really cool. But the next thing that we see that kind of gives you that, I can't wait to go see what that's about, is this giant burning tree kind of at the bottom of the hill. But first, we have some things immediately in the vicinity that we need to check out. So we've got our barracks over here, which, we'll have to explore and loot and kill some things. And then we also have our little watchtower on top of the hill that we need to check out. Something that I am planning on doing up here that I haven't done yet is building like a little lookout point over here. So I kind of have these stone walls up kind of blocking the edges so you don't fall off, but I want to be able to get a really good look out over this valley here, and it kind of gives you a sneak peek of the little next area down there too. So I think we've got another random weather event. Fog is kind of rolling into the area. So okay, now we go and through this little lookout tower, we loot that, kill things, and then also what I'm thinking I'm going to do is provide a way that the player can get onto this giant wall over here. I don't think I can get there right now, but I'm thinking I might carve out a little path or something so you can get up there. Might be a cool place to hide an item or something, and it also gives the player another sweet lookout point. Or hell, maybe adding some like stairs going up this little mountain ridge is the lookout point that I need for this view. Alright, so we're moving on to our next area. Come on, computer, load. So my computer's running a little sluggish at the moment, but hopefully you get the idea. So I've constructed this little walled-in village that has seen better days. I took one of the static mesh trees that I have. I applied my little burning overlay to it, stuck a few flames on it, oversized it by a few times, and added in some like glowing ember particles. So I think that looks pretty cool, and I think it gives you another little when you first walk in here, you get like a cool view of the castle kind of underneath the burning tree. I'm also using the weather system to create the smoke and ash in the air. It's actually considered like a sand or dust storm in the weather system, but I basically just changed the color of the particles to be like kind of a darker gray to represent ashes. So you can see I have some of my burning skeleton enemies in here. Right now I'm thinking this is going to end up being like a you like walk in here and you kind of get trapped with a bunch of enemies, so it's like a big combat area, maybe a boss fight, and then, you know, once you clear out everything, then you can make your way out to the other side. So something else that I hadn't mentioned before about the crystals, I was actually thinking they might be a good excuse for items and puzzles. So you can think, you know, different crystals of different colors do different types of things. So you can use them as light sources or socket them into items, or maybe even they are throwables or something you can use in combat. Or you come across like ancient ruins and there's like puzzles where maybe you have to insert crystals or something. So those are some ideas I'm playing around with right now. Oh yeah, I'll show you one other thing that I have added. It's still a early work in progress, but over here by my farms. So originally in this area, I had started making like a big walled-in village, but I didn't really like how that was going. So what I've ended up doing is I've made like another village here that was flooded. So yeah, I get it. It's tropey, right? So I have like the village on fire and I have the village that's flooded. But I kind of like the idea of having sort of themed locations so that I can, I can have enemies that are distinct to that area. So let me give you a closer look. This is still very much a work in progress over here. I haven't done quite as much over here as I did for the burned village. But essentially I took, so there was a river going across here that goes into the lake over there. I created another lake and put it up here and just made it super shallow. So there's like a few inches of water or so. You'll notice right now I do not have water sounding footsteps. Something I forgot to mention is like I did find a way to change the footstep sounds based on the weather. So like if it's snowing, I can have snow footsteps, and if it's raining, I can have like muddy, kind of wet sounding footsteps. But for the water, I haven't got that quite figured out yet. I found some sound effects on the Fab store that sounded pretty good, so I might pick those up. But definitely I need that sploosh, sploosh, sploosh going on here. But yeah, right now this is mainly just some ruined buildings, and I have this little bridge in the middle that goes over the river. And then a couple buildings on this side, including like a ruined cathedral over here. So we'll have some cool enemies to fight, some cool items to find. So this would be kind of like the last place you visit before you actually start making your way towards the castle. Although I do need to add some things in between here and the castle because it is still quite far away. So you can see up ahead there the foot of the mountain where you first start walking up. So yeah, definitely need to add some things in here. A couple ideas that I have are in this big wooded area over here. So here's like the main path and a couple branching roads that still kind of get you, towards the end. Just a couple of different ways to go. I have this giant wooded area over here that's got nothing at the moment. Something I'm thinking about adding is a ancient ruin that is like a maze of sorts. And I have this little cabin set up over here. Pardon the noise of the crows. I might need to turn that down. But yeah, the idea is over in this forested area, have like some ruins kind of peeking out over the trees that you could see from this vantage point to give you another, target to go track down as you're exploring. All right. Oh, and we're crashing, so I guess that's a good time to end it. All right, so sorry if I yapped too much, but if you're still checking these out, I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me again. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.